Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com and we'll take a look at them after round 1. Today we're going to be playing with Evan S's Pox deck list, essentially a BUG Pox deck list. Smallpox is a huge favorite of my viewers. People really just enjoy this card. I mean, somebody has to, because it's usually not your opponent. And this is a very potent card, and it's often combined with other discard and other mana denial to attempt to make your opponent not play games of Magic in sort of a prison-adjacent style. And today we're going to be supporting this with basically just in the main deck. So the original version of this deck list that I got had, I think, 3 crop rotations as additional green cards that aren't in here and 1 Snapcaster Mage. The Snapcaster Mage conceptually made sense to me to be 1 more copies of like some of these critical cards, but ultimately I just thought it was a little slow for current Legacy. And like given that this whole Smallpox Life from the Loam engine is already slow, I wanted to just kind of pad the deck with a few more early game effects and a generic game 1 answer to a little bit of everything that's going on here. So I cut the crop rotations because if you just kind of take a look at the lands here, other than like maybe Urza Saga or Wasteland, like our crop rotations aren't that good at just winning the game, and so I figured it was probably okay to cut them. Like the upside of crop rotation is that it puts cards into your graveyard for Life from the Loam or maybe in some worlds. But without like a Merit Lodge finish, I didn't really like the crop rotations. The blue also gives us some sideboard options for some cheap counter spells like Flusterstorm and Spell Pierce, but if you kind of just take a quick look at our blue count, we're not anywhere close enough to being able to run the Force of Will effects. Although I did also consider Mindbreak Trap for this deck list as like something that I could just cast for free in the early game, but that's also reasonable to hard cast later on in the game. Our sideboard is basically hitting combo relatively hard because, fingers crossed, it's the hope that we're winning the fair matchups in game 1 at least a decent portion of the time. I had 1 sideboard slot that I didn't really know what to do with, so I've decided to play 1 Urza Saga. Um, this is a 26 land deck that also has 4 Mox Diamonds, and it's my hope that that makes the mana good enough for Uro, but there's also some things like Swamp and Urborg in here that don't necessarily contribute to Uro. I thought Urborg was more important than Yavimaya for these black cards, but it's possible I'm wrong, or maybe it's possible that I should be running both, and I should just kind of get rid of the basics. This is kind of what I did in my quick little tune-up here. Let's jump directly into the games and see how it goes. We have a decent Urza Saga package, like we've got Wasteland, Life from the Loam. There's a lot of things to like here. Let's see how it actually fares in practice. If you're new here and you like what you see, please consider subscribing, and if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. It's one of the easiest ways to support my content for free. Let's battle. Yeah, this hand slaps. Like, this is very good against a fair deck. Just, like, multiple removal spells, Wasteland to take my opponent off of their lands. I can recur it with Life from the Loam. Basically, if my opponent leads on, like, basic land, pass, I'm fucked. Otherwise, life's pretty good. Yeah, this is fine. Less fine. Just moon me. Just moon me. Moon me. Moon me, you coward. Oh, shit. Oh, no. Help. Help. Okay, wait, it's not as bad as I thought. Okay, it's bad, folks. It's not a deterministic win or anything, but we are playing against bonus round Storm. And my opponent has a lot of mana. So this will be 7, and then double Seething Song will happen, which will bring my opponent to 14. Oh, cool. This can Burning Wish for Grape Shot, which gets copied, and then just, like, literally any other spell. What is Insult Injury? Damage can't be prevented this turn. Oh, it deals double damage? It deals double damage. Oh, yeah. No, that's cool. I'm not even mad. All right, so a copy of that happens, and it does indeed deal double damage. Well, shit, folks. That was super cool. So, my sudden edicts don't look super good here. My grist probably doesn't look that great either. That can probably go. All these counterspells are coming in for sure. Plague Engineer is okay for Empty the Warrens. I probably don't need all of this stuff. Like the Urza Sagas are going to kind of tick up and do their thing and hopefully find a way to kill my opponent. I think I'm interested in playing Surgicals. I think I just want to Thoughtseize or him, Burning Wish, take it out of the deck, and then my life gets a lot easier. Playing that probably means dropping both of those, and I'll keep this as a hedge versus some goblins. I'm going to hope I don't get punished for boarding out Assassin's Trophy, and Uro feels slow. Alright, Operation Pile O Hate is a go. That maybe does something. I don't think it does, though. That's just way too much mana. This absolutely fucking does something, though. I am very unsure what to put back. Let's assume that I can find lands some other way. Okay. Doesn't matter too much whether I lead on Underground Sea or Bayou, I don't think. The thing that could matter is my opponent randomly having Blood Moons. Alright, there are Ruby Medallions. I think I'm most scared of the Burning Wish here. I'll go ahead and get rid of that. The opponent notably does not have access to actual red mana right now, making bonus round very hard to use, which is why I'm not taking that. It's possible that I'm supposed to take Burgi there, though. But I'm kind of hoping that between the two Ancient Tombs, like, I'll pick up that card. Oh, yeah. I like that a lot. This will be Bayou. Nice Hymn to Tourach targeting you. Grabbing 2 Burning Wishes total. Let's cross out that bonus round. I don't need to surgically extract Burning Wish yet, I don't think. Like, I can give my opponent more chances to draw that card. Yeah, that's fine. Lotus Petal is fine. Oh, that does put the Burgi into play. Sure. Didn't really think about Lotus Petal in regards to Burgi plus double Ruby Medallion. Now my Hymn to Tourach doesn't look very good. Well, that feels filthy. Again, I really wish I had a life from the Loam. But this feels like it's worth doing. So I think I want to keep this in case I do draw life from the Loam. Get rid of Fluster. Even though that's an easier card to cast right now. Goodbye, Underground Sea. And I think I can just chill with my Surgical for right now. There's some worlds where I might name Burgi instead, given that we are very specifically on a Ruby Medallion board. Hashtag perfect mana. I don't think I'm in a Surgical yet. Not super scared of anything happening as of right now. Ooh, that I don't like. I think I'm going to take this opportunity to remove Burning Wish from the equation. Surgical, the Burning Wish. 1, 2, 3, 4. Opponent's got a Rite of Flame. So there's basically only one card in their deck that I care about. There's one copy of Wish that I care about. I don't know this one. Exile top 3 until end of your next turn. You may play those. Create 3 treasure tokens. Sure, that's fine. Yeah, all this is a-okay with me. 2 life for that ritual. I honestly don't think that's worth it. I'd rather just hymn it away or Lily plus it away. I don't think I want a Wasteland since I'm 1 black land away from Lily. Alright, we're chilling. We're 1 land away from Lily. Still think it's okay for me to not cast the Thoughtseize, although I will cast it on my next turn if my opponent doesn't have a spell. Sure. Third Ruby Medallion, I don't think is a big deal. Alright, fantastic. Right, Mox Diamond, discard Wasteland. I think it is okay to just get this going. I'll plus discarding my Thoughtseize, and I'll use him to take out whatever cards are left in my opponent's hand here. Yeah, and there's the Rite of Flame that I knew about. Okay, yeah. Oh. Oh, that's a turn. Fantastic. Him targeting you. Okay, that's good enough, yeah. So we're about to have them Hellbent and Wasteland them off Ancient Tomb, and then Urza Saga would finish the game in short order. I think for the game on the draw, I have to consider Assassin's Trophy a little bit more than I did in this game. I like my whole Surgical Extraction on Burning Wish plan. It breaks a huge portion of my opponent's deck. I feel like my cards are pretty reasonable. Like, I could look at cutting Uro, but it's good card advantage for the games like that one that just kind of get to the mid-game. And it is just a hell of a clock. I think I'm just going to chill like this. My Spell Pierces and Flusters are a little worse on the draw. Alright, I've got a tough hand here. I have that whole Thoughtseize Surgical thing. I have 2 other very relevant pieces of interaction, and I have a life from the Loam. So any land in 2 draws, I think, makes this hand very powerful. How many lands am I at? 26. 25 of which are remaining. Yeah, I get like 2, roughly 50% looks at lands. I'll keep it. I also think I can miss once, and it's not the end of the world. Mountain, are we passing? Got a Petal, that's fine. A Ruby Medallion. That obviously resolves. A Flusterstorm. Thoughtseize target you. Yeah, opponent does not have a relevant threat right now. I will take the Inspired Tinkering. I'm not interested in surgicaling that, although kind of the plan of taking my opponent's primary payoff card and extracting it didn't really work here. Like, I took their primary payoff card, but it's not worth extracting. Alright, there's that. Oh, we're just going. Let's see what this Seething Song goes into. Okay. Does it just wish into empty? Into Galvanic Relay. Sure. Jessica's Will, City, Mountain. That is, relatively speaking, a whiff. It's a look at 3 cards next turn is really what that is. Okay, cool. I think I'm just interested in a counter spell next turn. My opponent plays Mountain or City of Traders. Going for City. Casting Jessica's Will. So my opponent's bottleneck is on red mana here. So I think I can just counter whatever thing produces red mana and be perfectly safe right now. Okay, yeah. So I can counter this Manamorphose and leave a Burning Wish chilling in exile. I think I'm going to get greedy, though. No, I shouldn't fucking get greedy. This is until end of turn. I may play them this turn. Yeah, I think I'm just going to cash in the Spell Pierce here. Like, it is very attractive to try to go for the Burning Wish, but it goes wrong some portion of the time. Grab Underground Sea. This gives me use out of this card. Alright. So, 1 Burning Wish and 1 Wish are now just kind of, like, down forever. Oh, this is a fantastic Liliana of the Veil for me. So let's fetch. Am I interested in getting basics in case I get Blood Moon? Sure. I think I'm going to be far enough ahead where that is just totally reasonable. Plus the Lily, taking my opponent's last card, discarding one of my life from the Loams. Not too worried about bonus round currently. That's an Ancient Tomb. I think I'll just take a normal draw. A Surgical Extraction. I think it's time to set that draw step. Stop. It's life from the Loam. Targeting 2 lands. Play a land. I'm fine plussing here. Discarding a Verdant Catacombs. Am I into extracting bonus round? I think I'm into that. Target bonus round. I can pay the mana here. 1, 2, 3 bonus rounds gone. 3 Burning Wish, 3 Burgy remaining as cards that are relevant. No other bullshit sideboarded in. Let's just thin a land out of my deck here. Oh, I guess I know there's now no Blood Moon effects that punish me. We'll kind of repeat the same thing as last turn. The hope here would be to find an Urza Saga or a Wasteland off the Life from the Loam Dredge. Yeah, we found Wasteland. Saga, Wasteland, Verdant Catacombs. 1, 2. Liliana plus. Make my opponent discard their Rite of Flame. I'll discard Verdant Catacombs. I am going to go ahead and Wasteland my opponent in this turn cycle. I don't want the backside of Burgy to get into play. Alright. And we're chilling. I am fine with dredging Life from the Loam again. Like, there's worlds where I find an Uro. I'll go ahead and play an Urza Saga. Cast Life from the Loam. Target Wasteland, Bayou, Saga. App. 1, 2. Pox is doing Pox stuff, you know? Just feels nice. For me. To clarify. Get rid of the Bayou. Another Rite of Flame. Pass the turn. Next turn, if I want, I can Ultimate Lily and take away my opponent's Ruby Medallion. Just fluster it. Seems fine to just fluster it. Like, not give my opponent any source of card advantage here. Alright, there it goes. I think I'm just going to take a natural draw this turn instead of a dredge. I still got a couple lands that I can discard. Draw. No draws. Only Life from the Loam. Only Loam. Only Loam! I am fine with ultimating them to either destroy Ruby Medallion or take out 2 mountains. There's the piles. So in case you're not familiar with this wording, target player sacrifices all permanents in the pile of their choice. That's how that one works. Other than a basic land card, I can't extract their mountains here, just in case anyone was getting excited. Not a thing I am allowed to do. Opponent says Pox with counterspells. Oh yeah. Alright, and now we will cast a Life from the Loam, purely just to put 3 more cards in my hand for Liliana purposes. I've already made my land drop. At my opponent's end of turn, I'll start making stuff with Urza Saga, and my opponent will die very, very quickly. So here's my first Urza Saga token. I don't need to dredge Life from the Loam or Surgical. Alright. I will activate an Urza Saga. And then I can search for either either Shadow Spear or Mox Diamond. I think Shadow Spear is probably better. I also don't think that decision matters very much. I can just get the Shadow Spear next turn. Let's get a Mox Diamond. Discard a land. Lost Lily. I'll discard the Verdant Catacombs here. I don't need it. Reckless Impulse from my opponent. So I can play out a Wasteland for giggles. Let's go ahead and sorcery speed to activate this Urza Saga. Just deals the greatest amount of damage possible. This turn, I think we're probably looking at lethal next turn, right? I make 1 more token, fetch out 1 more thing. They're all 6/6s. Yeah. All right. GG's. Cool showing from the deck in round 1. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a deck building website for Magic the Gathering, although it does a lot more than just that. So for example, there's a lot of product releasing and it's hard to keep track of. This site has specifically pre-con data for you. To say you wanted to take a look at the Necron Warhammer 40k commander deck lists, all that information is available here and you can see all of the new sweet cards. I like my round 2 opening hand here, I think. I get to punch my opponent in the face with discard a little bit, and then we can get cute and play Smallpox a little bit later on. So I'm kind of hoping that my opponent doesn't have an impactful turn 1 play on board, such as Dragon Rage Channeler. that would Slitherblade. I think we can live with Slitherblade. The real question will be like, do I cast Smallpox in the face of Slitherblade? So my opponent is going to put Curiosity effects on that thing. That's what's going to happen. So if I him to Tourach and take my opponent's Curiosity effects, it's very good. This deck is pretty fragile. I think I'm going to go ahead and just Smallpox my opponent. I don't remember whether or not this deck plays Wasteland effects. Phase is fine. Yeah, so essentially, this deck plays a large number of Curiosity effects and free counterspells, including something as ridiculous as Commandeer. Alright, so now this thing draws cards, which is annoying. I've got like Sudden Edicts and Smallpox and such that can be very potent. So I play this to play around days, and then we see if my opponent can do something saucy like him to Tourach me. Hey, look, it's a Commandeer. So if they had the blue spells in hand, they absolutely could have commandeered me. How good is my opponent actually just going to be at beating some Urza Saga tokens, by the way? Like, especially with Retrofitter Foundry, those are going to scale up pretty quickly. Okay, this is fine. Gives me Loam for Saga, which is kind of nice. Yeah, I think I just need Urza Saga tokens here. I have to read all these cards, don't I? Alright, I know that one. This is just a can't be blocked creature. Use one target creature spell or planeswalker spell its owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Sure. Yes, Force of Negation. Force exiling Loam is very awkward. Yeah, I think I'm good with this. I think my plan very much is just to use Urza Saga and or Retrofitter Foundry to just take over this game without really casting spells. Alright, there goes that island. Visible Stalker is fine. Again, the actual threats that my opponent has are quite small. Another Urza Saga. I'll make a token. I'm interested in Shadow Spear. That just seems incredibly difficult to beat for my opponent. So I will pay the 1 life here to equip the combat. I've got a 5/5 Trample Lifelinker that just very much invalidates my opponent's board. I'll take 2. Like, you can draw your cards. But I don't know how much they actually do if I'm not casting spells. May absolutely Slitherblade and Invisible Stalker. I'm very happy for these land drops as well, just by the way. I'll have very large creatures in combat. Send them in. Alright, we are in chump territory. Fine. Making this token. Oh, no, not untap. And I'm fine paying a life, because I immediately just get that life back from lifelink. Yeah. Yep. So this is one of the reasons why so there's a couple reasons why I don't like the deck that my opponent is playing. Number one, it feels like my opponent is playing a pauper deck with better counterspells. Like, there's not very much damage there, and it's fragile, and it's relatively easy to get 2-for-1'd by a removal spell and just kind of like never get to really do your thing. Number two, it's pretty easy to lose to things like Urza Saga that just don't care about spells being countered. Another Urza Saga seems reasonable. Plague Engineer seems reasonable. Spell Pierce is not crazy. A little unsure on the boarding here. Like, I have these things that can be very powerful, but they might not be very powerful. I think more Assassin's Trophy and Spell Pierce are reasonable. I'm not really sure what I don't want. The Edict effects are much better than targeted removal. And probably cut the currency converter here. Like, I see myself wanting Shadow Spear or Retrofitter Foundry most of the time off Urza Saga. Him's a little worse on the draw. I could probably go down one of those. I can honestly probably go down 2 Hymns and play like another Assassin's Trophy or Spell Pierce. Not really sure which one is better. I like the Spell Pierce better on the play. Oh, this is Smallpox and a bunch of lands. That's pretty reasonable. Alright, there is a Slither Blade. Let's just play Underground Sea into a Shadow Spear here. Daze is totally fine. Like, a Daze happening this turn so it doesn't happen on the Smallpox next turn is pretty darn good. Alright, so there's actual factual curiosity. And now I'll take my 1 damage. My opponent gets their card. And I can play Edict effects potentially 3 turns in a row. I don't love that I have to Smallpox this turn. But Smallpox is probably going to get countered. And if it doesn't get countered, that's great for me too. Okay, there's Force of Negation, pitching Legacy All-Star, Guttle Lurker. Then I'll kind of hope that Lily resolves next turn. Alright, so this is now a draw 2 for my opponent, which is okay. My opponent's got a fistful of counter spells. I might actually just Smallpox this turn to play around Daze. Smallpox also better plays around Commandeer, which I guess matters. Yeah, let's play around Daze. This Force of Will, pitching Invisible Stalker. A little awkward that my Shadow Spear is gone. Very good off Urza Saga. Alright, I go to 17. My opponent gets their Divination. And an Invisible Stalker, which unfortunately makes my Liliana much worse. I don't think I have a lot of choice in the matter. I'm going to go ahead and play that out. So there's the Edict on my opponent. Just gets rid of this. Now, if my opponent takes a turn off, this is combat damage to a player. So if they kill the Lily, they don't actually draw cards this turn. Yeah, okay, so they are attacking me so that they can draw their cards, which is reasonable. Okay, there's Urza Saga ticking up. Here's Bayou. Here's a plus on Lily. I don't mind that I'm discarding a land as I am about to cast Life from the Loam. There goes a Daze. Attempt a Polluted Delta. Or, sorry, let's attempt a Life from the Loam on Polluted Delta. Got it. Oh, opponent's got something end of turn. A Brazen Borrower, sure. Take a little bit more damage here. And again, we can see how relevant it is that I happen to draw the Shadow Spear. Like, if the Shadow Spear is still in my deck, this game looks very different. Alright, land drop. Just where we're at. Do this whole Urza Saga thing. I will dredge Life from the Loam. Ooh, I hit Uro. That's interesting. I think Uro's too likely to get countered. Let's just go ahead and do this Song and Dance instead. Make my Construct token. Grab Retrofitter Foundry. Manually play a land. And, yeah, this Urza Saga is somewhat likely to go the way unless my opponent has more things like this. There we go. Now that that happened, it's very awkward for me that I've played this Polluted Delta. Although I guess the Life from the Loam's pretty unlikely to resolve. I think I'm doing okay still. Hard to tell, though. The second Brazen Borrower coming in is a bit of a kick in the teeth. Alright, I'm going to do some lazy timing here just so I can F6. Alright, so opponent's up to 8 cards after all those triggers resolve. So they will have to discard a Smallpox. How am I beating my opponent here? Resolving a row is real good. I can make 1 artifact this turn, meaning that I attack for 5. I'm not attacking for 19 next turn. So it seems to me like my path to victory involves doing this. I could try to go like this whole servo token route. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But in the worlds where my opponent can't like Force of Will or Commandeer or Subtlety this or whatever, this is pretty good. Alright, so let's bash in with this. Opponent takes 4 going to 14. Brazen Borrower comes in. And let's see if I can do some nonsense. Fetch, grab a drop for funsies, sacrifice the servo to make a 1/1 flyer. Oh, another Brazen Borrower? Okay, that's rough. I don't beat that at this point. They take 7 this turn and very much lethal next turn. No, okay, never mind. I have 1 out. I can rip Plague Engineer, have it resolve, and then that can kill both Brazen Borrowers. I think that's very unlikely to happen, but that's what I can do. Oh. Well, shit. Now I know to play around that. That game was already decided, though. The second Brazen Borrower was what did it. My hymns are better on the play, my spell pierces are better on the play. I can also potentially just board out 1 land, because I did board in an Urza Saga. It's not like Wasteland is super good here. Am I running 61? Or did I pull something else into the deck already? Unsure. I think I like these spell pierces, but I'm a little unsure about that. This requires green mana to be keepable. I'm gonna mulligan this. I think it's very easy to get a hand of a similar power level, which I have accomplished here. I'll keep this one, probably pitching Tropical Island. Swamp go. I expect my opponent to play some small creature this turn, attempt to suit it up next turn, and then I will sudden edict it. It will be glorious. I don't need this card yet. I don't think it matters Bayou versus Underground Sea here. I'll just pass the turn. Yeah, that's fine. Now that I know that they're not just gonna immediately, like, play out another land and do it again, I'm fine edicting that. Ooh, another basic. I don't think I want any of my shit to get dazed this turn. I think I just Thoughtseize my opponent here. A misdirection, pitching back to basics. That's fine. This is an even trade, right? The misdirection and blue card trades for my Thoughtseize. I choose this? Interesting. Oh yeah, it changes the target. They don't gain control of it. Oh yeah, I probably get rid of Plague Engineer here. Just keep Lily. Now this is target player reveals their hand though, so my opponent does know what my hand is. Alright, my opponent missed their land drop. So it's pretty unlikely that this Liliana resolves. And it could be super awkward if they have triple blue card Commandeer or something. That's fine. That is a 2-for-1 trade in my favor. Invisible Stalker is currently fine. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's Lily. Edict you. And I imagine this is likely to be the turning point for me. I'm just gonna go ahead and fetch here. What land it is doesn't really matter. I guess I'll make a Trop. Well, that's slightly awkward, but ultimately I think I'm good with it. Ask new Lily. Keep higher loyalty Lily. Edict you, so the curiosity type stuff can't become relevant. And now basically any turn where my opponent doesn't play a creature, I gain a huge advantage. Okay. Little niche play here. You don't want to just like play out your Mox Diamond, because if my opponent has Brazen Borrower, they can plus on Lily in response to my plus, and I lose my Lily. So I will just go ahead and do this and discard a Mox Diamond. Alright, there goes a Combat Research, one of the Curiosity effects. And just like, I would have probably done that same play with a lot of things. Like, it takes a card of very high value, such as Urza Saga, for me to not maybe want to just kind of throw away a card here because of how good Brazen Borrower is specifically in this spot. And now I imagine that my Urza Saga wins this game. Like, it takes a couple turns, but the damage is done. Alright, fantastic. I believe I remain undefeated versus this deck. Okay, my opening hand has multiple black cards, but not black mana. I'm leading on multiple Wastelands without the ability to get this Uro into play. I am not a fan, whereas I am a fan of this one. And I think I'm just going to value colors over the flexibility of both Seiju. Alright. Let's see what sort of no good trouble my opponent is up to. Oh, it's more of this! So, do I take their one payoff card, or do I just take the Chrome Box? It's so tempting to just take that Chrome Box here. I'm gonna take the Persistent Mana Source. It's possible that's wrong. Like, as this game goes along, the Galvanic Relay gets better and better, but it's very hard for my opponent to utilize the Galvanic Relay if I'm gonna follow up with, like, him to Tourach and Smallpox and such. Oh, nice. Yeah. This is going to be an absolutely brutal series of events for my opponent. Oh, yeah, there goes the Spirit Guide and the Relay. No mercy. We're here for a Pox trophy. LED is a great draw. Something my opponent can just have, like, just chilling on the board. Lily is pretty disgusting here. I+, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to use Smallpox or Delta as my discard here. I think it's Delta. I don't know. There's a lot of worlds where my opponent doesn't have a land next turn. Just easier for me to do it this way. Alright, goodbye defense grid. Yeah, no land this turn, so my eluded Delta gamble has paid off. So I can Thought Seize my opponent, and now I am hellbent. I'm not really scared of any of this stuff. I guess Overmaster is the one that says draw a card on it. Take that one. Lost the Lily. Presumably taking out Grim Monolith. Nope, taking out Rite of Flame for the more immediate value. That is also fine. I think since I'm at an even life total right now, I don't fetch to thin. Another LED is fine. Ooh, there's an Uro. Let's play that. Draw my card. I will put a land onto the battlefield. Do not mind if I do. Lost the Lily. Probably taking out Grim Monolith. Nope, taking out the other Rite of Flame here. Unless my opponent has, like, Echo, it's pretty tough for them to make a meaningful play here. I'm going to go ahead and fetch another Underground Sea. Alright. So it just seems better to play the Uro than to make one Urza Saga token this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. I could have done this a little differently. But I was kind of thinking about doing something like just ultimating this anyway. Because my opponent has a lot of mana on board. A little awkward if they top deck well. Yeah, I think I'm willing to just lose the Planeswalker this turn, given the just insane amount of value that I have in play. Alright, opponent opting to keep the LEDs. I'm fine with. I can just Assassin's Trophy one of them. Alright, 1, 2. Make my thing. Probably just search for Shadow Spear. I don't even know that I need to Assassin's Trophy this right now. Like, not bad to. But it, like, gives my opponent a land, which is something that I don't want to do. I think I'm just going to make it very hard to, like, do enough damage to kill me here. Alright, opponent goes to 13. I go to 31. And we're chilling. I guess I can just attack here. Like, I can maybe try to squeeze one more damage out of the board here. By playing an Uro ahead of time or something. And drawing into an artifact. I don't really think that matters. I will just increase my life. I'll keep this Uro. Yeah, I'll put a new Urza Saga into play. Why not? And play a Wasteland. If my opponent does anything that I'm scared of, I'll Assassin's Trophy and LED in response. I think that's fine. I actually can just Assassin's Trophying that doesn't really matter. Ooh. That's annoying. That gets Echo directly to Graveyard. Okay. So this will be an Echo with 3 red floating. I don't need to Assassin's Trophy anything here. It's possible that I lose here. Ooh, City's very good. Opal's no big deal. From Monolith doesn't super matter. Actually, I could have... No, I don't have the Assassin. No, I do have Assassin's Trophy. Alright, LED's fine. So I can Assassin's Trophy the LED here, but my opponent can just crack for blue and get another Echo. But 50% of... No. Never mind. Yeah, this is very awkward. Alright. Alright, so here is another Echo. We'll leave a little bit of blue and red floating. Have a Boseiju. That can technically do stuff, but... Oh, that can definitely do stuff. Alright. Let's destroy that immediately. Oh, right, I control a legendary creature. This thing's cost is, like, basically never reduced in the decks that I'm playing it in. Okay. Oh, there's the Harnfell cards. Alright, there's some good stuff over there. Not really the mana yet to super take advantage of it. Because, like, opponent has one Mox Opal currently as mana. Notably, a pass the turn line isn't good enough for my opponent here. Although, awkwardly, this does give them another red mana. Ooh, Rite of Flame there is very good. This is presumably Burgy. Now, opponent needs a piece of artifact. Fuck. Yep, okay. Now Rite of Flame is active. So that puts my opponent up to 3 mana. I'm still fine. But I'm close to not fine. Like, I'm very close to not fine. Alright. The Overmaster is free. It pays for itself. I'm at 44 life, so great. Fuck. That Opal is very good. The Opal specifically is good because that puts my opponent to 6 mana, which is Hardcast and Echo levels of mana. I had a partial thought before. I'm not anywhere near Grape Shot range. Alright, there is a gamble. Oh fuck, I've had Sudden Edict this whole fucking time. This is what happens when you start recording like 8+ rounds in a day. Just by the way. Stuff falls off. Yeah, so I gave my opponent more mana than I needed to. There's blue mana off LED. There's an Echo. Alright, I have a Sudden Edict. Rite of Flame is fine. Lotus Petal is fine. Burning Wish is fine. End rolls. 22-44. Yeah, I lost this one because I didn't cast the Sudden Edict earlier because I was just kind of zoning out because my opponent was playing kind of slowly. That's on me. Alright, GG's. I punted that one. Like, that's fine. Alright, Needle's fine. I think Saga's fine. Assassin's Trophy is awkward, but okay. Luster Storm and Spell Pierce are fine. Surgical's not maybe as good as you think it might be. I'm still probably going to play some number of them. I'm gonna assume some amount of this stuff can go. I'm gonna assume Grist can go. Some or all of the Uros can go. I don't need to actually kill my opponent all that proactively if I can stop them from winning. The defense grid makes some of this stuff awkward. But I think that's probably okay. I just have too many reasonable cards here. Maybe I don't play the Assassin's Trophy since it replaces the mana that I'm taking. Maybe I cut one other colorless land. I maybe don't need this many Sudden Edicts. Yeah, this is fine. Alright, will just be some fetch land and pass. I'll fluster relatively aggressively here, just to kind of trade. Ancient Tomb's fine. Petal is fine. Empty the Warrens. There's a very pitiful Empty the Warrens. I'll fetch. Grab like Underground Sea here. Blusterstorm. Target empty. Target that with the second one. There we go. And we'll clear that and then take out my opponent's remaining 2 cards. After that, I'll probably Wasteland them. I'm very surprised that my opponent was willing to just go in for 4. Oh man, that's super awkward. It's so awkward if they draw exactly blue land this turn. Which they didn't, and I'm super thankful for it. Let's Wasteland, target Ancient Tomb. 1, 2, 3 targets for Loam. I draw 3. Set a draw step stop on my opponent's turn. And in their draw step, I'm fine with just taking out the echoes now. Okay, there's a concession, so I can't see their boarding plan, which is reasonable. Now, knowing how aggressively my opponent is going for goblins, I kind of also want some number of Plague Engineers. What comes out if I do that? Am I looking at Smallpox? Like, Smallpox, Sudden Edict are probably objectively the weakest cards. I also want the Shadow Spear to hedge against goblins, and just relatively medium storm counts as well. I think I'm willing to go down on some Smallpox. If I'm going to go down that many, though, I think I just want to go all of them and play another Wasteland. This hand is good enough. It's not like the Wombo combo of like Thoughtseize into him or Thoughtseize surgically extract the thing that I take or anything, but it's pretty good. The issue is that I can't do much on my opponent's turn 1. So like when they have LED Echo hands, you know, I have basically just surgical to interact with that. Okay, well, there's some surgicals. Now, opponent is on a completely random 7 here, and we'll see how good it is. I still have Plague Engineer as an out to goblins, which is nice. Ramux is happening. Printing Burgy. Petal occurs. Opal happens. It's an empty. So all I need to do is draw like a land. No, I have to make it to 3 mana, though. If I get hit for 14, then I make my second land drop, then I die. Yeah, I mean, sucks. Like, I got turn 1. Like, the loss is on me for spacing out and not playing Sudden Edict, though. So, like, the loss is not on my opponent's nut draw there. It's on me playing poorly because I was tired. Okay, interesting opening hand here. I just have a turn 1 Hymn to Tourach followed up by a Wasteland. Is that a keepable hand? Probably not, he says as he whacks the keep button. I think it's interesting. Box Diamond, probably just discard a Bayou. There's a very good chance that I just steal a game between Hymn to Tourach and Wasteland, but not against Burn. I mean, actually, Goblin Guide could feed me into an Urza Saga. That's a Liliana of the Veil. Liliana with the steel chair. Let's go. So that takes that Goblin Guide off the board, eliminating a lot of pressure off of my life total in the short to mid-term. And if, like, my opponent uses an attack step to hit Lily, that's a decent amount of damage that I am saving on myself. So I am good with it. Suspended Rift Bolt. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That Hymn to Tourach is very good. I am going to play a land drop here. I am aware of Price of Progress, but, like, I have Uro in my deck. I need to get to the point reliably where I can cast a blue green card, and I'm not there as of right now. Taking 3 from this, going to 12. Loam is totally reasonable. I'll cast that, and again, until I am at blue green, which I am now at, I will play out lands that I draw. Now I will be more cognizant of that, and there's worlds where I will put Wasteland into play to destroy one of my own lands. I'll absolutely dredge life from the Loam. Yes. Because of how good Binding, Urza Saga, and Uro are. So now it's just a question of, like, how well does my opponent top deck versus how well do I top deck. Am I at 8? I'm at 8. That one's a little scary. I think I just take a draw. Wasteland. Sure. Play it, pass the turn. I think I need to dodge this turn. So let's say that my opponent has a spell that does 3 damage. If my opponent has a spell that does 3 damage, and I block, I take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I am still alive, but I lose the Urza Saga token so that I cannot attack. If my opponent does not have the 3 damage burn spell, then I just outright probably win the game. But if they have the 3 damage burn spell and I don't block here, I am literally dead. I guess I should play around that. I've got my construct. My opponent is now pausing, which doesn't bode well for me. I will block here. Do you have it? Not right now. The land. Hell yeah. I will not dredge life from the loam. I'll activate my Urza Saga. Gets me Shadow Spear. I've got 2 mana to equip Shadow Spear. Gives me 5 life linky damage, which feels pretty damn good. I think I'm good there. Like, I can re-equip this here. What happens if my opponent draws Price of Progress? So I play Underground Sea. We get domed for 8 by Price of Progress. But that doesn't actually matter because I would gain 5 back. Yes. Does not matter at this time. Although I suppose technically I should have played the Wasteland there. Okay, good enough to get the concession. Could have played a little tighter though. Okay, what's not great versus my opponent? A lot of my cards are pretty reasonable, honestly. Life from the Loam's really slow. And like my Wasteland's not particularly good. So like without even thinking about it, I can tell you that like I'll sub out a Wasteland for an Urza Saga. That one's easy. I don't know how I feel about Smallpox. Like, I kind of want to keep all of my lands to work towards Uro, despite the fact that, like, Smallpox is a very respectable removal spell. Like, some amount of these 9 cards are probably better than Smallpox. And I'm not the biggest fan of Thoughtseize either. And just basically play this entire pile O stuff. Cut 1 more life from the loam. Or I can keep the life from the loam and cut 1 of the artifacts. Objectively speaking, this hand doesn't have enough mana. It's got an Urza Saga. I'll pitch the Spell Pierce, which currently isn't doing anything. The Smash to Smithereen type cards are going to be very good against my Urza Saga tokens. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. Are there worlds where I can fetch a basic with this? I think so. Go basic forest into Retrofitter Foundry. I think I'm into making a token next turn. Oh, this is aggressive. Ow. I don't think my Urza Saga is fast enough here without top decking a removal spell, which is super unfortunate. Like, I can make a token to soak up 2 damage this turn, which is probably what I'm doing. Okay. All 3 of those get to come in. Alright, Grist is on top. Grist is still on top. Supposed to take 6 and go to 4, then make the token, and then my Urza Saga token can block next turn, be at 2. Sure. I just don't know how I get out of this much pressure, like, whether or not I chump block this turn or next turn. Like, it's worth 2 points, and fuck me. Okay. Okay. That was a very ideal start from my opponent. I think I'm okay with how I've boarded. Yes, this is totally fine. So I'll just lead on basic swamp with the intention of playing Urza Saga Sudden Edict on turn 2, unless something makes me change my mind. But I think most of the time the hands that are keepable for my opponent have a turn 1 creature of some kind. Lily makes playing Urza Saga this turn a little more awkward. I don't want to buy you. I don't want to buy you. I don't have 2 basic swamps, do I? No. Or 2 in the original list, and I cut 1. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and fetch a Bayou and play a Sudden Edict in this turn cycle. Then play Urza Saga into Lily next turn. Sudden Edict kills one of those either way, so it doesn't matter which one. I will let both attack. I guess I let the first trigger resolve now. Him to Tourach doesn't matter. Grab BUG. Second trigger resolve. Another Sudden Edict. Not bad. I'll take one of those out here. And take 2 from Goblin Guide. Okay, Lava Spike's fine. Alright, there's Saga. Here's Lily. Edict you, and now I'm working towards my lifelink, and I've taken the persistent damage dealers out of play. Chain Lightning is fine. Like, it's good. Don't get me wrong. But here's to hoping that I can stay alive for just a touch longer. Go ahead and plus. Discard the life from the Loam. I don't discarded a Fire Blast. That probably just means I'm dead, unfortunately. If I'm not dead this turn, I win the game next turn. This is 3. Yep. I mean, that is what it is, right? So I would have gone like token, Shadow Spear, get in there. And I think that's the point where my opponent can't win anymore. GG's. I will be keeping this hand. This hand, like, plays him into Lily. So let's go ahead and go Mox Diamond. I think I'll discard Underground Sea here. Play AC. And him, my opponent. Island and Delver. I'm hoping not to get Wastelanded here, because my hand is just, like, so good. Bobbles, no big deal. Alright, fantastic. Oh no. That is not what my opponent is hoping to see here. So this will be BUG into Lily of the Veil, which has resolved. My opponent has a bunch of cards that they can discard. I will plus discarding my Wasteland. I'm not willing to discard the Sudden Edict. It is just so good in these sorts of matchups. Alright, Daze has gone away. Alright, my opponent found a land. Oh, that's very good. Let's play that, and I'll just chill with Liliana at 4 counters. This card's too valuable for me to discard, in my opinion. This just leaves me with so much removal. Sure, that's fine. The Brainstorm just to kind of try to hit that next land drop and smooth things out. And we'll see what they can do on their actual turn. Arn is fine. We have a Dragon Rage Channeler. We have a Delver. Purely to use my mana, and so that, like, it's easier for me to go Hellbent, I will Sudden Edict this creature here. And this lets me plus the Lily on my turn. Alright. Yawgmoth. Plus Lily. Alright, there goes an EI. Alright, land drop from my opponent. Are we chilling? We're chilling. Misty. I'll make my token. This is my opponent's last chance to Lightning Bolt one of these constructs. I think I'm actually interested in Retrofitter Foundry over Shadow Spear here, oddly enough. The Brazen Borrower effects are pretty good against me right now. Is why I'm taking this line rather than just the Shadow Spear immediately. Alright. Opponent goes to 13. Given how good my board is, I am comfortable doing the Lily Plus thing into Brazen Borrower. Yeah, that's fine. Like, if I didn't have this much power on board, I would have kept Misty Rainforest in play. But, like, given that my opponent just didn't get massive value for me, like, going for an equip and then, like, doing that whole Brazen Borrower thing that way, I think I'm good with this. And it is my plan to just make something bigger than Murktide Regent. Not actually that many instances. Oh no, sorry, I just couldn't see their whole graveyard. JK, there's a decent number. Alright. Oh, it is a 3/3 Murktide Regent. We're good with that. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana, which is cool. Play this out pre-combat. I think I'm fine swinging in with everything here. There's a block on the servo. I'm going to go ahead and make a new token. Untap this. Pay 1 mana. Sacrifice the servo that Murktide Regent just blocked. Sacrifice this. Turn it into a flyer that can now chump block Murktide Regent. My opponent takes 12, going to 1, and then there's 4 different lethal threats in play. There shouldn't be anything that my opponent can do to, like, reasonably beat this. Yes, your bullshit card can have some counters, but that shouldn't matter. Like, all of these individually are lethal. Opponent can have 1 lightning bolt effect. They have no cards in hand. Yeah. GG. If you didn't see it, I recently posted an article on my Patreon, probably a week or a week and a half ago by the time this goes live. I wrote the article yesterday about Blue Red Delver and its overall dominance in Legacy. Worth checking out if you're interested in why I complain about that deck so much. We've got Surgicals versus Leylines here, which is super inconvenient for this matchup. I don't think we get much better in the post-sideboard games, and our opponent gets way better. They get to bring in a couple of copies of Meltdown, which very much wreck my whole Urza Saga-based game plan. Without the Urza Saga, without the Leylines to permanently make Dragon Rage Channelers small, Plague Engineer becomes a lot less attractive. I think I'm interested in these 3 cards. I'm not super interested in wastelanding my opponent. Expressive Iteration is just too good at getting my opponent out from under those situations. And I will probably go down a couple of hymns. They're fine. They're much better when I am on the play. Like, just getting this card dazed is pretty rough. We got game 1. Hopefully we can steal one of the next 2. Notice I use the word steal here. This is a pretty mediocre hand that gets improved by a lot of draws. I think I'm going to keep it. I can just Pithing Needle Wasteland on turn 1, and then my Urza Sagas become much more reliable for the rest of this game. I can use Life from the Loam to try and find Uro or Urza Saga. And I've got a Hymn to make my opponent return an island to their hand. Oh, it's just tapped Mystic Sanctuary on turn 1. Ooh, that's a very good draw. Alright, let's see if I can successfully execute my plan here. Oh, hell yeah. Alright, Wasteland is off. Now, this is symmetrical, so this is off for both me and my opponent, but hopefully this favors me. It's also possible that I messed up and I was supposed to play Urborg on turn 1. Not sure how into that play I am. There's a lot of draws that make me want to try to use my mana first, rather than just going turbo on this. I think the Thoughtseize is one of them. I think I'm okay playing the Urborg now, though. Alright. So let's attempt to Thoughtseize my opponent here. Oh, those are good cards. Did shut off a Wasteland successfully. Oh, this is so awkward. I think I'm supposed to take the Brazen Borrower so that my opponent can't, like, bounce the Pithing Needle and then Wasteland me. EI is so fucking good, though. I'm gonna take the Brazen Borrower. And I will offer up Retrofitter Foundry to Daze here. Because if my opponent dazes, their Expressive Iteration is so much worse next turn. An opponent is willing to daze. And if they don't cast that EI next turn, then I probably take it with him. 3 card types in graveyard, so we've got creature because I put it there. Oh yeah, are we going? Yeah, we're going for the immediate EI. This has to find like a bauble, otherwise it's just a selection spell. Yeah, opponent threw a Wasteland into exile. Yeah, I am happy with all of this. Let's go Urza Saga, which can produce black, which is relevant here. I will hymn my opponent. Picking Wasteland and another Expressive Iteration, and I'm totally fine just playing out Currency Converter. Alright, excellent. So I'm going to be making Urza Saga Construct tokens that are outside of Lightning Bolt range, which super matters. Mox Diamond. Discard a land card, so I get this Currency Converter trigger. I just tap it to do that, right? Yes, I do just tap it to do that. Yes, I will use this ability. Guess I don't need to do that immediately. If I do that immediately, though... Yeah, I do want to do that immediately, actually. Alright, so that goes to graveyard. I can go Life from the Loam, targeting Bayou, play Bayou as my land drop, and still make a very large Urza Saga construct token. And I think I win this game unless my opponent meltdowns me. They will almost certainly do, because that's what this deck does. These cantrips are just so incredibly potent while Dragon Rage Channeler is in play. Alright, that's no shuffle. There's a Brainstorm. And surveil one of those cards from the Ponder into the graveyard, and then do a redraw. Alright, there's another land. Hopefully that doesn't mean that just Murktide Regent is coming my way, because that's a real problem right now. Fetch. Yeah. This is why this deck is just, like, so mind-numbingly boring to play against. Like, I have set up this game plan that is, like, carefully cultivated to beat the things that my opponent is doing. And because my opponent's cantrips dig much deeper than normal, my opponent is just able to find the 8/8 flyer or the meltdown that they need with an incredible degree of consistency. So I go 2 mana, tap Urza Saga. I have a 6/6. Fetch out Shadow Spear. I have a 7/7. I equip it. I have an 8/8. That's probably fine. I think I'm okay dredging Life from the Loam. Alright. 1, 2, 6/6, 7/7. Whip here is 8/8. I have to attack or I die, unfortunately. So I'll attack with my 8/8 lifelinker. Alright, my opponent is just going to eat that. And let's just watch my opponent find the meltdown. Alright, so this looks at 1 card with Surveil. My opponent put on top. Expressive Iteration will then look at 3 cards. Ponder is in exile. So my opponent has looked at 3 cards. Will be the 4th. Could have been the 5th if my opponent bottomed the first time. Or put in the graveyard the first time. Okay, so that's 4th. Ponder can look at 4 more cards. That's 8. There's a shuffle. So that is indeed 8 cards looked at. There's a land drop. This is 9. After the Brainstorm resolves, that will be 10, 11, 12 cards looked at. Do you see the problem? The Dragon Rage Channeler has to attack, the Murktide Regent doesn't. So hopefully my opponent is Brainstorm locked. Nope. Alright. So I don't have the mana to activate this. Do I want to do this? I'm probably doing this more or less no matter what. So given that that's happening, let's do it now. Pretty bad. Discard that. Fine with putting it under there. I'm going to cast Life from the Loam, targeting Urza Saga. I'm going to do it post-combat. Just need to attack with this while it's still an 8/8. I'm so going to lose to my opponent just like playing another Murktide Regent and growing this first one. I can't really do much about that, though. Because if I just block and my opponent has a Murktide on top of deck, they just take the chump here. Murktide's huge. Probably die. Alright. 8 lifelinky damage incoming. Ooh, we're trading. That's good. That buys me a lot of time. But it buys me a lot of time while my opponent has double Dragon Rage Channeler in play. So that means a lot less than you might think it does. Because the degree of selection there is just unparalleled. No need to use the treasure token to equip to the construct token. Okay. So this Brainstorm looks at 5 cards. Okay, they found the one they wanted. Alright, this Ponder gets to get rid of the 2 cards that are put on top with Brainstorm, allowing them to look at 4 fresh cards with this. And again, all it takes is my opponent finding 1 copy of Meltdown, and it is then extremely difficult for me to win. Even another Murktide Regent is pretty rough. Alright, I take 6. Okay, to some extent we have dodged. I think I'm just going to take a draw in an attempt to find Sudden Edict type cards. I have missed. Attempt. Equip on this construct. This is an attempt at lethal damage. Go ahead and crash in. There's no blocks. Let's go 1, 2. Make my token. That's 8/8. Let's do this. Gives me a treasure token. That is 9/9. Oh my god, we beat Delver. Alright. This was a 3-2 league that could have been a 4-1 if I just cast a Sudden Edict with the right timing instead of, like, spacing out. So a better rested Phil would have absolutely 4-1'd this league. Overall thoughts on the deck list? Not bad. Smallpox didn't have a particularly good showing this league. Like, this was a league where, like, Sudden Edict looked good, minus that one time. Urza Saga looked really good. Liliana the Veil put in work, like, absolute heavy lifting. I'm not sure how good the blue counterspells were out of the sideboard. They helped a little bit, but generally speaking, I felt kind of light on various sideboard effects. Like, I have counters, I basically have 3 things, right? Like, I have counters, I have Graveyard Hate, and I have Plague Engineers, and a couple of flex cards. And I wonder if more flex cards is just better than this pile of counter spells that's there. Like, is it better to just, like, play the more flexible IOK, and instead of having to hold up the mana, just, like, try to be proactive about it? I'm not really sure without playing more games. I would say that I would like Abrupt Decay in this deck list, but Abrupt Decay missing Murktide Regent is such a huge deal. So I'm not sure that I actually do want it. Overall, this one gets a thumbs up. I don't think it's the most competitive thing in the world, but, like, this was a very cool iteration of Pox, and I enjoyed playing it a lot. Evan, thank you very much for submitting it. Alright, folks. I'm tired. I made some misplays. I think it is time for old Phil to head to bed here. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Please like the video on the way out if you made it this far. See ya!